Well, this is a treat, a privilege during this National Police Awareness Week to be welcoming Inspector Greg Harper. In October, it'll be 29 years with York Regional Police. And what a history of service. Just right now, you are second in command of a district leading 220 officers?
Roughly 227 in the city of Vaughan, outside our 4 district.
Very good. And Aurora is home. But you can empathize with me, folks. I mean, learning that you were in charge of a SWAT team for how long?
6 years I was a unit commander.
6 years. Of course, I have 101 questions about that adventurous role. But tell us what your first call was as a SWAT.
Actually, I wasn't. I was an alternate on the team, and it was a hostage taking in my own apartment building.
In your own apartment building?
Richmond Hill.
In Richmond Hill. I mean, that is too weird. Too ironic.
Right.
Not all smiles in your role, but have you enjoyed being a policeman?
Very much so. It's been a very rewarding career. I've been around a bit within the organization. I did some time in uniform, but the majority of my career was within the SWAT team. I did some investigative work in hold up and intelligence and CIB. And my current assignment is at the district in Vaughan.
Primarily administrative now, which
Yes.
makes perfect sense. Okay, I'm going to ask the kindergarten question. Have you ever been shot?
No.
Good. Okay. We have a live audience today, so if you hear a little sound effects here or there, it's really nice to have them with us. This is a really interesting journey, dragged by your ear to church as a young man. By Mom.
Mom was trying to do the right thing. She didn't really drag me, but I wasn't going totally willingly, no.
Where did spiritual life begin to stir for you?
Well, I think with most adults that don't have a faith, I use God as a bank account, that I only went there when I needed something. And I'd go to funerals and people would talk about eternity and the cliches of live life to your fullest, because you never know what's going to happen. And it wasn't until my wife and I, we were in Kleinberg at the time, and through our local pastor, we facilitated a couple of alpha courses, which answers some of my questions, not all of them, but...
That's really huge, to open your home to seekers coming to ask questions about God and the Bible.
Right.
Your wife was a Christian, wasn't she already?
Yes.
Did you know that?
Oh, yes.
And you weren't opposed to that?
No, not at all.
I mean, obviously you're willing to open your home. So you were one of the people asking questions.
I was.
Such a wonderful course, Alpha.
I call it Christianity for Dummies, yes.
Yes, but it's not a dumb thing to do it.
No.
If you're out there and you're seeking, and there's an Alpha course near you, you watch the church marquees, you just get in there, because actually they have great dinners too, usually. And you can ask anything.
Right.
And what got resolved for you? Things started happening.
Well, we had already planned a trip to Malawi in the summer of 2006, but I guess
A missions trip.
Yeah.
That would be your first.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was planned for the summer of 2006. So I guess as far as faith is concerned, the tipping point came in February of 2006 when a friend of mine was killed in a car accident. So it was at that point that I really started to question about, eternity. What's the purpose? Why are we here? It didn't make sense to me that, you're born, you grow up, raise a family, retire, grow old, and die. Like there had to be more than that. So that was February 25th, 2006, a Saturday. On the Sunday following morning, my wife and I were actually getting ready to go to church, and Jerry said to me, when you die, you're either with God or you're not. And I wasn't sure that my friend was going to be with God, and I wanted to make sure that I was.
Your friend who had died,
Yeah.
another police officer.
Yeah. And I was terrified. I actually didn't want to go outside of the house for fear that I might have been hit by a car and then not had the assurance that I was going to be with God. So
that's just really God.
Right.
That's amazing, that the holy fear came on you such that you didn't want to step out of your house until you'd settled the eternity question. What a gift.
It was. So I sat down on the bed and gave my life to Christ. And, you know, it wasn't, I know a lot of people have an experience, like they may feel something. For me, it was nothing. I just, but I knew that it was sincere. And
So did God.
So I could tell that, you know, from that point forward that he began to work in my life.
Malawi was just on the heels of this. How amazing
It was.
that you'd said yes to a missions trip and you weren't even serving the Lord until this moment. So we have some pictures that we're going to meet your wife, I think, first picture. What is her name?
Jerry.
Thank God for godly wives. They're a big part of the story. And where in Malawi did you go and what was the mission?
It was a little village just north of Blantyre, and we went there to help a small congregation finish a church that they'd been working on for about 10 years. But we'd also supported some local children's ministries, and like this is an orphan center there. So, and this is actually, I went back in 2008 with my pastor. That's Doris. It's a sad story, actually. She's got 3 young children, and she can barely walk. So, so this is actually the sanctuary.
This is the one you were trying to get finished. And I'm sure it is finished.
It is.
Today. Now you weren't just, oh, isn't it beautiful?
My wife actually painted the burning bushes there.
Really? That is a beautiful sanctuary. Is that in Blantyre?
That's in the little village of Cassangeri, which is about an hour north of Blantyre.
Ah, because I've been there. What did this mean to you? You were a new creation when you went on this mission trip. What meaning did it have for you?
Well, I'd say the biggest takeaway was the, you know, when we practice our faith here, sometimes we talk the talk, but in Malawi, the people there are walking the walk. Like you can tell that their faith is so strong, and that for some of them, that's all that they have. Right?
For me to live as Christ is their reality, not just a verse in the Bible.
Yeah. Without their faith, they don't have any hope.
And I'll bet those church services were 3 hours long.
Some of them, yes. Yes.
Now you came back to your job, and you didn't make a big announcement at work that you'd made this spiritual decision that you were a child of the King. But you made quietly some refreshing discoveries.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of the guys I knew were Christians that were on the team, and again, it's not a. There's not
broadcast.
No, and I don't think that any of them were wearing their faith on their sleeve. So it was, for me as well. It was just slowly. It was more becoming more confident about my faith and being even able to explain it. So yeah, so it's been 8 years now, so I still just slowly, it's out there.
What difference do you think it makes? Now, you're not in the danger zone now, but for these guys, some of them still on the SWAT team, do they express the difference it makes working in a hostile, dangerous, sometimes very ugly arena in the role that you have?
Well, certainly I know that they feel the Lord's protection, but there is some misconceptions about the dangers of SWAT teams. I mean, the reality is that they're so highly trained, and they typically go into a situation after the frontline officers arrive first. So in theory, those are the officers that are initially more in harm's way. So I think the guys, they certainly, because it's such a team environment, they rely on each other heavily, and it's a big team event.
This is Police Awareness Week. If there was one thing you would message to the nation, to the public, about a better understanding or appreciation of the job you do, what would you like to say?
Well, it's a challenging job, and it's one that, again, we're out there to serve and protect, and we try and do the best we can every day. And it's not easy. There's a lot of jobs that aren't easy, and we don't deserve any more attention than anyone else. But we're just out there to serve and to help.
Inspector Harper, on a spiritual note, for the person who has not made that decision for Christ, who may not have that marvelous gift of conviction, today is the day of salvation. Today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts, the scripture says. What would you say to encourage them not to delay? Because I think a lot of people, they don't want God messing with their lifestyle. Whatever they think it's going to mean to be a Christian, they're going to wait till later, like maybe before they die. No. You knew you didn't have that guarantee.
And again, that was one of the challenges that I had was I going to be judged and treated differently? And at the point I made my commitment, that didn't actually enter my mind. But I was more focused on
getting right with God.
Yes, totally. And being born again is I still akin it to being like a child, that you grow in your faith and you will fall and make mistakes, but as long as you're trying to go in the right direction, and that's the difference. Right?
Can't love you more than he does today. That goes for you too, wherever you are spiritually. And we can help you to make that decision that will be life-changing here and forever. Don't delay. You don't know if we have tomorrow. Even Jesus told us that. So call that number on the screen, our prayer line. We're here for you. And oh, what a difference it will make in your life to know the one who made you for himself. Inspector Greg Harper, thank you so much for coming and being the visual for this important week.
My pleasure. Thank you.
God bless you.